Hey everybody, and welcome to yet another super special spectacular claymation demo. I'm Tommy Sims.
And I'm Jamie Hazelwood.
And right now, it's tool time. So, what we've got here laid out for you are a bunch of clay tools that you can find in your local craft store. Most of these tools you can either buy individually, or they also come in a super handy-dandy tool package. Now, for starters, what we're going to start off with is something that you could probably find around your house, and that is a toothpick. And this comes in quite handy for your clay. I've got a piece of clay here, and I'm just going to demonstrate what we can do with it. A toothpick can be useful for when we are building our characters. What we want to do mostly is poke holes in it, and you can do something like that. And what we would usually do with a hole like that is we would poke that into the torso of your character, and we would take another piece and stick it in there, and then that would be the arm. Now, what we can do with a piece like this here is take a tool like this that is kind of curved on the end there, and instead of using our fingers to blend it, and as you can see, as I blended it down, it kind of misshaped in this little arm stub here. But you can take this tool and kind of blend it together just like that. And as you can see, it's kind of creating a little bit of a texture down there. Now, the other end of this tool is a little bit wider, so I can go through and kind of flatten that out there. And that just kind of blended out the bumps that created.
Yeah, and instead of, if you can't find a cool little tool like that, it would also be handy, kind of like how we have our handy toothpick, is like a popsicle stick.
Yep. I'm going to go and mash that up there.
Another great thing with a toothpick is for obviously adding textures like we're saying, but you can also quick poke holes in there for eyes if you don't want to do something overly complex as well.
Right, as simple as, and then we have a face.
Exactly.
You can go through and make them talk and everything. Now, the next tools we have here are these little metal ones, and they have like little hoops on the end and triangles and whatnot. And what you can do with these are great for carving. And just carving away clays like that. Now, if you don't have tools such as these, what you could use in place of this, if you see the very end of it there, you can use a paper clip for that. The end of the paper clip is hooped just like that, and it would work just as perfectly for scraping away the clay like that. And same thing with this triangular one. It can cut in a little bit deeper than the circle one. Let me take the clay out of there. Now this next tool here, it's kind of shaped like a pencil. And I basically use it just like I did the toothpick. So if you don't have a toothpick, or if you need to make a bigger hole, like that. And you can also use it to, say, if your clay is really mushed up and whatnot and you want to get it flattened out, this is a great tool just to roll along and smooth out everything. Just like that. It's a great blending tool. And same thing with this one here. It's just another shaped one, a little bit sharper. Now, what you want to do is be careful with tools such as this, and especially the knife here, and this other really needle-like tool, is they can get really sharp and kind of dangerous, so you want to have parental supervision if need be. And just always be safe with it. And the next tool here, this little needle one, I used for as a toothpick as well. I can make fur with it. Or what I do with the more advanced characters is they have eyeballs in their heads. And what I do with those eyeballs is you make a clay eyeball and you bake it. And you can poke a hole in it like so. And once that's baked, you can stick this needle in there and move it around inside of the head and position it.
Yeah, just kind of get an idea of what we're talking about here. What we can use this little toothpick for.
So, here's one of our actual characters. As you can see, his eyes here. His eyes are actually beads and not clay, but you can bake the clay. But I take the toothpick here and stick it in the hole, and I can move his eyes like so.
Nice.
Make him cross-eyed here. Move them in all different directions. Like that.
Mm-hmm. Just a great way for you guys to do like nice little animations without getting anything too messed up, because your fingers are obviously going to be big and bulky.
Right, and your fingers can't, I can't move his eyes with my fingers. I need this tool to help me out and move his eyes around. Just like that. So, our next tool here is the knife, and you can cut clay on the ground. And if you don't want your kids using the actual knife, the clay kits come with tools such as this, and these can be used as a knife as well. It's not a sharp at all, made out of wood, and it's the same thing. You can go ahead and cut your clay off just like that. And the other end is kind of shaped so you can cut it kind of on a curve if you want, or cut different shapes into it and blend it out.
Yeah, or make simple little mouth shapes like that.
Right.
Or as well, you know, we're using these little sharp, well, not necessarily sharp, but these kind of edges there, so that way we can just make quick little cutoffs instead of trying to pull it apart with our fingers and then really kind of misshape the clay.
Right. Now you see how, like, sharp that is there. Now if I just did that with my finger, I really can't get in there as much like that. So what we would have to do with the fingers is make the mouth shape and close it shut, and then you obviously have a different shape for the mouth rather than just cutting the mouth shape in there and having it good to go. Now this next tool here has curved edges on both sides, and it's rounded out a lot more than some of the other tools we have, and this is probably my favorite tool for blending. So if I have the clay poked together like so, I make a little snake here, stick it in for like an arm or a leg or something, and this just really allows me to get in there and blend it down just like that, just like we did before. And then we go ahead and take this tool and round it out, smooth out all those bumps, and that's that tool. Now next up, you see we have a toothbrush. Now you're probably wondering why on earth we have a toothbrush here. We don't have teeth in the clay.
Exactly, those are for your teeth, not for clay, Tommy.
Yeah, but as you can see here, it's kind of already dirtied. And I definitely will not use this in my mouth at all anymore because I've used it on clay.
Right, so don't grab the one in your bathroom.
Right. So what you want to do is take the toothbrush, and this is great for texture. You can give it a really sandy look just by poking it down like so.
Although the one thing to keep in mind with a lot of these textures you make is they have the great shape like that there, but the second you start moving around with your fingers,
right, it's going to smooth out.
Yeah, you're going to lose that detail. So a lot of this texturing stuff can be used more for stuff that's going to be baked or stuff that you're not really going to have to move too much.
Right, or if you do have to move it like this and it becomes misshapen like that, what you want to do while animating is go back in and add the texture back on top.
Right, leave it like you found it.
Now, another great thing besides making this sandy, pokey effect with the toothbrush is instead of taking a tool like this and doing hair individually, what you can do is take the toothbrush and just drag it along, and it gives it more of a hairy effect. It actually makes it look more furry than the toothpick did. Like so. So, moving on to our next tool here. We've got a little toothy edge here, and this is just another thing for texture. Do shapes like that. And then the other end here is just another tool to blend it out or cut into the clay as well.
And the cool thing with a lot of these blendings here, if I can just grab another little color.
Sure.
You could just even just put something little tiny in there. And instead of trying to, precisely move it around with your fingers and kind of get it meshed up, you can just take an edge there and just kind of squish it in and then make like cool little, like if you kind of stretch the little shape across, they kind of really blend it right in there. Yeah, just like that.
See that? Now the problem with that now is it's stuck in the clay. So what you can do is try and take it out as much as you can, but no matter what, there's going to be a little bit stuck. So what I'm going to do now is go ahead and cut that out.
Come on now, cut it out.
Yep, and be careful with it. Be very careful so you don't cut yourself. Now, with clay like this, you might think it's not good enough to use anymore because it's two different colors. Well, the beauty about Sculpted clay is you can blend it together and just keep kneading and kneading and kneading, and eventually you'll wind up with a brand new color. And as you can see here, it's already turning into like a more browny, muddy green than the previous green here. And here we have our new color. See how fast that was?
And there's just a little bit of red too, and that just goes a long way.
Right. Now, another usefulness for these tools are, say, if we have a mouth shape in our clay, and we want to stick a tongue in there, but we can't necessarily really get our fingers in there as well. Like, I can stick his tongue in there like that, but it's a little bit too long and sticking out. Now, if I wanted a smaller tongue, and I still wanted it inside of the mouth, I can make that little tongue shape. Do you have that other tool? Let's see, this one here. And I can stick it on the very end of the tool here, and take the tool and stick it into the mouth. And if I wanted to, I can take another tool and poke a little line into the mouth to give the tongue a little bit of a shape here.
Yeah, a lot of these tools are great just for adding details that you really can't get with, like, your fingers, you know?
Right. Give this little guy a little bit of mustache. I have no idea what I'm making. Kind of making it up as I go. Little alien-like creature. Whoops. Poke some pupils into his eyeballs here.
And you can also see here from the great example that Tommy's showing here, he's using 3 or 4 different tools there. So you don't really have to be just stuck with just one for making a lot of detail.
Right, and if you get a pack of tools, it's just great to experiment with them and see what you can do. Because there's really not just one specific use for each tool. You'll find as you go that there's so many different things that you can use these tools for, and that's the great advantage of having a set of tools such as these right here.
Yeah, because we kind of told you with the needle how you can animate with like the eyes and stuff, but you can even use a little tool like that to reach over to the characters to kind of push them along to help you animate and not just sculpt.
Right. Now, a set of tools at a clay store, depending upon how large it is and how many tools you get in the package, could run anywhere from like $5 to $10. So it's not that terrible, and it's a great investment to have for your claymations.
Yeah, because when you don't necessarily need to use your fingers as much, you don't get near as dirty with your hands and having to constantly wash your hands.
Right, and another great tool to have here that you probably don't think of as a tool would be paper towel to always wipe down your hands afterwards, because the clay does leave some sort of sort of sticky residue. You can definitely feel it once you're done playing with it. And some colors will show up more than others. Like if I'm using a red, the red will really rub off on my fingers, and I don't want to go and hug my family members and get them all red afterwards, or touch the white walls and make the walls white. I want to wipe down my fingers and then wash my hands afterwards, so that way everything stays nice and clean. And it's even helpful to wipe down your hands in between using different colors of clay, because like you saw here, once we had the red clay and the green, and we had to mix it into this new color, if you're animating something that's red and go to a character that's green, the green character might end up having red fingerprints on them, so you want to kind of wipe down your hands in between each time you touch the characters. So that's just a little quick demo on what you can do with the clay tools and what kind of clay tools are out there. So if you guys want to go ahead and get awesome bonus points with us, go out and head out to your local craft store and pick up a set of clay tools, and we will use these much more extensively once we get into our animations. So until then, stay animated, everybody.